17.
So it's 5:11 p.m. We're going to be talking about wood, all forms of wood, and we have a number of guests. First, we have Olivier de LAGAUSIE, who is General Director of SIEL, trade organization of light wooden packaging. Jean-Marie Tanguy, your General Secretary of QUALIPAL, pallet quality professional organization, and Jean-Luc BALEY, you're the head of Martin, which is a French company in Western France. We're going to be discussing sustainable development and the circular economy. And here we're talking about the wooden pallet, which is at the heart of the circular economy. We'll see this with European EPAL pallets represented in France by QUALIPAL. And we have Jean-Marie Tanguy to discuss this. And we're going to focus on light wooden packaging. This is a local industry. It's creative and it's tremendous because it's fine for food contact, and we'll see increasingly it's a key part of a clean, sustainable economy. We'll begin with you, Jean-Marie Tanguy. You represent manufacturers and reprocessors of wooden pallets. Now, wooden pallets a mixed bag, pretty much. QUALIPAL is working with the European Association EPAL, which is trying to move forward with the famous EPAL pallet with quality specifications and total traceability. Yes, that's true. Well, let me warmly thank you for welcoming wood. Okay, we love wood, said the journalist. Now, we've seen so many other materials, so the wooden pallet, as you explained, is crucial for the circular economy. Let me simply point out that beyond EPAL and the French QUALIPAL organization, I represent all wooden pallets in the National Wood Federation, FNB, even if you kindly focused on the QUALIPAL organization that I represent. So wooden pallets are indeed playing a major role, and with now it's quite fashionable. We see different types of packaging. People are using wooden pallets in furniture design and throughout the home. But you have to bear in mind that the wooden pallet is a high-quality product. We have specifications. And here I'm talking about the EPAL pallet, but there are other specifications for other wooden pallets. We have quality control. We've focused on reuse and then recovery, recycling at end of life. Because you say that the pallet can be indefinitely repaired. Does this mean that you can keep a pallet in service? How long can you keep a pallet running? Well, if you look at the statistics, well, statistics are always dangerous. I'm not going to talk about political polling statistics because that's nothing to be discussed today. But during the average lifetime of a pallet, which the French Energy and Environmental Agency estimates at 7 years, so you can have up to 20 repairs, obviously depending on how the pallets are used. So it's almost indefinitely repairable. It would be, in any event, if it weren't possible to do something else with the pallets, because remember, we have cascade use, and we might look at that later. Not only can pallets be repaired, but they can be recycled, and at end of the recycling period, they don't have to be burnt as waste, but they can actually be used as a fuel, not just in waste to energy. They can be burnt as a primary fuel. So at the end of their life cycle, if they're ground up or as pellets or burnt as a primary fuel, that's Something positive. Okay, so obviously we have we're talking about the circular economy. There's nothing new about the circular economy. We begin using a natural resource, and Olivier will follow up on this because we have sustainably managed forests. These forests are constantly renewed with replanting. When we cut a tree to make a pallet, it's a tree that was planted to make pallets. You know, it's preposterous to say, I don't want to use wooden pallets because I want to save forests. It's as if you were to say, I won't eat bread because I want to save the fields. No, we reuse pallets, and we repair them as long as we can, and then at the end of their life, we use them as a fuel. Now, how big is the market for wooden pallets if we look at the economics? Well, in economic terms, we represent 650 companies in France in 1,000 production sites. We manufacture just over 50 million pallets a year. We have 12,800 employees. That's the latest figure. And what's the market share? Because you have other types of pallets. Well, some 15 years ago when I was asked that question, I even wrote this once, and I said, now it's 95% market share, and you'll see in 10 years' time. So I was looking forward to 2010, and I said we'll reach 60%, and the rest would be plastic or other things. Now, we still have 95% market share for wooden pallets in 2016. This means that plastic hasn't really managed to get off the ground. Well, to a limited extent. So cardboard is moving forward. But we're not saying we defeated plastics. No, it's quite simply that now there is ecological awareness growing. I won't dwell on this, but my friends in the plastics organization earlier recently explained that they were trying to prevent marine or ocean pollution. And obviously, a piece of wood in the ocean isn't going to have the same impact as plastic. You could sink a ship, well, not a tiny boat, if you had a huge piece of wood. Are you sure that there's a future for wooden pallets? Well, 10 years ago, I was sure that we were going to lose market share. So nothing is certain in this life, but we're constantly seeking innovation. What do we mean by innovation? Well, we're still using wood. Increasingly, we're seeking to come up with what could be compared with organic farming. So wherever you have any chemicals, we try to eliminate that. Typically on pallets, we don't have chemicals, but you do have plant health. Products which could be identified as chemicals. Well, those aren't applied in France. We don't use those products in France or Europe. So we're very fortunate in that we have this material, wood. But that's not really innovation, is it? Because there are different dimensions of pallets. You have standardized pallets for logistics, but apparently you now make custom-made pallets. Well, in the old days, pallets were always made to measure, and then they became standardized. Now, clearly we have a number of approaches. Insofar as possible, we try to standardize. But there are some cases where it's far more logical, more relevant to come up with a custom-sized pallet, which isn't going to be destroyed or thrown out in a skip, but which would then be transformed into primary, secondary materials. You don't really like that type of term. Well, you just grind it up into pellets. Well, initially you grind it down, and either you can use that as it could be a composite board, or you can burn it for energy. we have to burn pellets if you want to have enough wood for all of the boilers, which are currently recognized officially in France as being clean fuel burners. So you're present here in 7A 71. Thank you, Jean-Marie Tanguy. Now we're going to be discussing another aspect of this, and we're looking at light wood packaging. So Olivier LAGAUSIE, how big is the light wooden packaging industry? Well, it's a small industry for the time being compared with pellets. We have about 200 million euros in top line for the entire industry. Most of France is covered here. We have some 50 industrial sites and 1,800 or 1,900 employees, bearing in mind that in this show we have 4 manufacturers present. We have LACROIX from the Jura, EPAL from Blanchet from northwestern France, and Martin from western France, the Deux-Sèvres department. So this shows the geographical spread of this industry. So often they're located close to the supplies of wood, and they have to be close to customers as well. You need both criteria to be met for successful companies. So we use poplar, pine, and also spruce, but 80% is poplar. Is it because it's easy to roll out and to slice? No, you can invent people to come see what we do, because when you see the poplar, it's like a giant pencil. It takes very little energy, and you can roll out long sheets and cut them up, and you can use them for the type of wooden crate you make here. Okay. Okay. Oh, you've got them in front of you. So this is poplar that's been spread out. So here we have small. Is that all poplar? It's only poplar. We only work with poplar. So, and then we also have baskets, and you see them primarily for oysters. And this is one you can use for 5 kilograms of butter. Okay, and then lots of smaller baskets. And this is rolled wood. So we'll get back to that a bit later. Now, Olivier, when we see wooden crates and baskets, we see them more and more in supermarkets and other stores. You can buy small cherry tomatoes in little baskets like this, but I think it took you years to come up with a food safety file. Yes, we had to show this. Now, there had never been any incidents with food to wood contact, but one day the French authorities said, we've never had any problems with this, but we'd like you to submit a formal file on this. So in 2010, we started working on this. We set up a scientific consortium, a scientific panel with leading experts in testing. We had USB, the wooden school, Honoris, the veterinary school, Actelia, for dairy products, and also the Reims University, which has graduate studies in packaging engineering. Now, this was always done transparently, and we looked at the migration of chemical compounds and microbiological migration here. So this is this the development of bacteria? Well, it can be bacteria. It's all types of microorganisms. Now you have, this includes tremendous pathogens. These can be human pathogens from contamination by people working on the production chain, because we have good practices for health and safety throughout the food processing chain. And we have to look at this in packaging ahead of food processing. So what we did was try to see what happens if you inoculate a microorganism in the wood, what happens? And did you prove that there was no danger? Yes, we did tens of thousands of tests. This was a scientific study, and we had articles published in peer-reviewed journals, a large number of scientific articles, and we were able to prove that if you put these pathogens in the wood, 96% of the microorganisms didn't go into the food, didn't go into the wood. So the wood actually destroyed, or at least absorbed, the microorganisms without allowing them to spread or to migrate into the food. So in light of food safety issues, this is very positive. The wood's porous nature, and initially people were afraid that the pores would help to spread the microorganisms. Now we see it actually locks the microorganisms in the wood itself. And remember, this is like old country homes made of wood. And I remember people said these were healthy homes. And they used sawwood as well. No, you said that, in fact, your industry is ready for a world after oil. So you're involved in a body called Long Live Poplar Trees. Now, we have raw material, poplar trees, which are renewable. We have to remember that after millions of years, wood can become oil or coal. Now, that's in millions of years. We're talking about planting trees, harvesting the trees, and using the wood to make the baskets and crates. It takes 20 years for a poplar tree to mature. Okay, it takes very little time. Okay, compared with an oak, which is mature after 100 years. This is 20 years. And this means we can be forward-looking, and we can actually provide our own inputs. Now, French manufacturers believe in this so much that we're actually paying for replanting. This is a tremendous figure. In France, there are 2.3 million forest owners. 2.3 million people officially own forests. Well, when you look at the people related to forests and woods, we end up with over 3 million people. If you look at the owners, the operators, manufacturers, and the processing chain. This is tremendous. Does this mean that we have a huge set of resources for the forest operators, but it's also really spread all over the place? Does this have an impact on purchasing prices? Well, the fact that you have people all over the place, that could raise a problem, because one day someone might say, look, I have to cut my trees and put them on the market. I have to sell them. But you have to remember, you have to look at that ahead of time. For a poplar tree, you have to prune them, cut off the branches in the initial years. So if they forgot to do that in the initial years, the owner isn't going to earn as much from the wood as they expected. So if they know about managing their forests, they can earn money. And also we have the French ONF, which is the National Forest Institute, which owns the state national forests. Well, the price is going to change. You have to ask the other people. I'm not involved in buying and selling wood. We'll ask Jean-Luc BALEY. You're one of the manufacturing companies here. You're located in Western France, and you have 70 employees, and you'll be 70 years old. The company will be 70 years, not you. You'll be celebrating your 70th anniversary next year. We're talking about prices. Isn't wood expensive in France? Well, we see wood at different prices. We focused on replanting forest because it was important to preserve the resource near our companies, near our manufacturers. And now, because our companies have grown, they go further to find the wood. So the cost of the wood is stable, but factoring in transportation costs, it can be more expensive for manufacturers. So this is a local industry. So you're not going to be looking for wood in other European countries. Well, you have to be close to your raw material. And if you have to ship it in from far, it's going to cost a few more euros. So we never buy it from more than 100, 150 kilometers from where we work. Okay, so it smells good and it's made in France. So talking about the wooden products. Initially, this was a traditional type of industry, and you've added some original innovations. Could you describe this? Well, when I joined Martin, the company, people were talking about grandmother Martin, who would go and hand nail her cheese crates in her barn. And industry has changed significantly. We've had changes in technology and changes in our customers' demands. So to meet the what some customers said, they didn't want to see any wooden staples anymore, so now we glue these baskets. So this is an assembled basket which has the benefits of wood without any of the drawbacks of staples. What about the glue? Is it food quality? Well, yes, the glue and the dyes we use in some baskets to come up with more colorful, personalized packages. Okay, so these are some creative, innovative baskets. What do your customers put in them? Well, we have lots of customers. And our business was traditionally food-centered. So cheese is important. We discussed safety, food safety, but also for aging cheese properly, you need good quality wood. And you know that if you put fruit in wooden crates, the fruit isn't going to rot the way it will with other products. Wood is great for food, and food continues to account for a large share of our business. So we have cherry tomatoes from the Seville cooperative that's made hay with this. So they saw how important wood would be, and they also saw that our company could grow, and they said, look, we need the authenticity of wood. This shows quality. We need a company which is industrial as well, with industrial process, but we also need customization, and we've customized this with a hexagonal shape on the basket, and we mark the circle, and we also add color on the slats, the way you have slats in a wooden barrel. Okay, that's for the food and food processing industry. I assume that this could be attractive to other industries, including the home gardening industry. I think there are no limits to the use of wood. The only limit today is the human imagination, the imagination of our customers and also our own in-house design teams. We're developing solutions now where what our customers want today is something which will enhance, showcase their products with color, shape, and authenticity. Now, this is the first time you've been exhibiting in ALL4PACK Paris, and you said your slogan is "Votre idée est là." In English, this means your idea, we have it. So, how did you come up with that? Well, we're at the start of a real revolution. Authenticity is what we're looking for first and foremost. But remember that wood and poplar in particular is something that you can shape. You can imagine a range of solutions. And the idea behind this is to come see us with your idea, and we'll find the solution with you in order to enhance your product or showcase your product. Where are you located? In Hall 7 and J39. Okay, so go smell the fresh wood, the poplar wood, with Martin. Okay, the company is called Martin. So thank you, gentlemen, and Jean-Luc BALEY, Olivier LAGAUSIE, and Jean-Marie TANGUY, and we'll be back in 5 minutes' time for the trend, and we'll be listening to Neopist shipping with an innovative product for e-commerce. And I'll be back in 25 minutes myself when we have our debrief on L4PACK. So we'll resume in 5 minutes.